All right, so we are with Gareth and Ged from Herdl. How's it going, guys?
Yeah, good, thanks.
Good, thank you. Yeah.
Awesome. So we've been working with Herdl for, I think it's about 5 years now, or coming on 5 years. You're one of our first clients.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome. So guys, could you run us through what is Herdl and how you fit into the business?
You answer
So we're a digital marketing agency based in the UK. We've been going for around about 12 years, and our sort of specialist areas are SEO, paid media, web design, web development, that sort of thing. In terms of where we fit in, so Ged and I are the founders. So Ged is the managing director and I'm the digital director.
Awesome. And actually, let me start with how many South African staff have you guys hired through Kadraa so far?
So we did a quick head count actually, and so it's around 20. Which is I think probably more than what we thought until we reviewed it. Yeah.
Awesome. And when all those years ago when we first engaged you, did you have any initial reservations about building an offshore team specifically from South Africa?
We had a lot of reservations about building an offshore team, full stop. We thought about working in that way previously with other kind of countries, so and had some experiences which weren't very good. So we had quite a lot of reservations. I think the main ones were that kind of I guess there's trust, an element of trust going into an area where we've got no kind of previous experience, hadn't hired anybody in South Africa before. Also, how would it fit with, like, the cultural fit, working hours, all those kind of things. So I'd say the reason why I think we took when we sort of made the leap was because one of our employees here had moved to Berlin, so we were already kind of that had kind of forced us to become used to working in this way. That was about 2017 or something. So we knew we had all the infrastructure in place to be able to work in that way, but the actual initial step, I think when we first chatted, it sounded interesting, and we were aware that some of our staff, once the whole remote working thing came about through COVID, there was suddenly the option for anybody to work anywhere, and we actually lost a couple of members of our team to big London agencies. So it did make us think, hey, look, maybe we need to look further afield ourselves to be competitive in here, to be able to find really, really good staff. So that was it in the end. I think it was basically the conversation with you. I think you convinced us. It's worth a try, and we were really glad we did.
Yeah, I was a lot more maybe nervous about it at the beginning, because I think that you'd initially spoken to Ged, and I think I was struggling with a lot of those bits that Ged was sort of saying there. But I think it's when we'd sort of discussed it and looked at what was happening with the job market in the UK and the fact that we were already looking at remote positions. It kind of, I think it didn't really matter to us whether someone was based remotely in the UK or remotely kind of anywhere in the world. And obviously the benefits of, with language and time zone and everything that we get with everybody in SA, it kind of made it, well, there's no difference really between hiring somebody remotely in the UK versus somebody remotely in South Africa.
Awesome. And then that kind of is a segue to the next part of that question, which is, how do you feel the South African staff members that you have hired have performed in comparison to people that you've worked with in the UK in the past?
Yeah, very, very, really well. I mean, honestly, it's been, I think it helped us having the kind of that infrastructure in place, but it's been seamless, and we've been able to hire people at a much more senior level, with a lot more experience. So It's been really good. I mean, culturally, the fit is great. We've been over there. We celebrated 10 years. We all went over, got the whole team together, and everybody just got along so well. Yeah, really like the experience is the same. You know, I can honestly say it's no different to working with anybody remotely anywhere. You know, it's you know in the UK or I can't imagine a better fit. You know, location wise, very very good, isn't it?
Yeah. I think that that there's you all obviously you always have to go through your own kind of due diligence with hiring staff. So as long as you've got something and you've got a good process in there to make sure that you're getting the right people, again, what Jed's saying there is it's sort of no difference, you know, between hiring remotely in the UK versus remotely in South Africa. And I think that we've, you know, we have a really nice atmosphere at Herdl anyway. And we actually put quite a lot of effort into sort of maintaining that. But I would say absolutely no difference between, you know, somebody in the UK and somebody in SA. It's yeah.
I think one of the things for us is the people part of the business is like so core. It was so baked in from the beginning. Myself and Gareth, when we set this up, we previously worked at an agency that was a horrible place to work. And the founding sort of stone of this agency was, let's make a place where we'd like to work. So we're really careful when we hire people. You know, as you know, we're probably a pain to work with at times because we're very sort of specific on making sure that we hire the right people, not just who've got the right skills, but the ones who've got the right personality and kind of interests and attributes to them, team players, you know, those kind of things that we really look for. So it all kind of works together. You know, that's so important to us. I think we're very picky in our hiring, but and we've managed to, you know, work with you guys to actually get a really fantastic team.
And they're equipped with, you know, obviously the skills that we need, and sometimes, you know, more than what we need, which is great, and obviously a good fit for, you know, good fit, cultural fit for the team as well.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then yeah, I guess it's a bit of a strange question to ask because you know, obviously we've worked together and all of that, but how would you guys describe your experience to Kadraa to someone who's contemplating using our services? I mean, how's it been maybe compared to other recruiters or against your initial thoughts? I mean, how's the experience working with our team been, basically?
I mean, that is a really good question because we're literally going from, you know, sorry, every recruiter out there, but I was absolutely fed up, you know, to the point where I just treated all recruiters like spammers. I just really felt like they didn't offer any value. It's as if they've got somebody already on their database that might, you know, might match what you're looking for. They'll put those forward, but it just didn't seem, and I was never able to connect with, you know, any UK based recruiters. All my experiences were bad, and I was, you know, that was one of the hurdles I had to get over from when we first initially met. Was I just don't tend to get on with recruiters, you know. That's, you know, sorry everybody, but that's the truth. And what I felt was different was you didn't come from a recruitment background, and it felt like I was talking to somebody who was more, you know, like us, more like a you know, business owner, and you understood what we were looking for. And I think that's the reason why we made that initial step, was because I felt like I was dealing with a different type of person, and you know, somebody that actually genuinely cared. And I'm pleased to say that's, you know, the reason why we're still working with you now is because we've built up such a good relationship. And, you know, even though, you know, I feel like sometimes we probably are a pain to work with, you guys are very patient and, you know, invest the time. Even yesterday, setting up that meeting to kind of go the extra mile to really understand what we were looking for in one of the latest roles where we're hiring.
And it was a really positive outcome by having that discussion. I'd say that's the biggest thing that you guys do differently to any experience I've had with other recruiters, is taking the time to actually understand the role, what we're looking for specifically from that role, and genuinely matching the candidates against, you know, our sort of requirements, rather than what it's felt like working with other recruiters is that they will just, I don't know, kind of mass spam whatever, you know, whoever they've got on their books, they'll just throw in front of you. Whereas I think you guys really take the time to fully understand what it is that we're looking for, the kind of, you know, person, the skill set, that sort of stuff, and then match the candidates against that, rather than trying to do it the other way around, where you're trying to fit a candidate into a role that doesn't maybe exist over here.
Yeah, guys, thank you so much. That's it's super nice hearing that. And just for anyone watching, I haven't paid Ged and Gareth to say that. But yeah, we certainly try hard. And while you guys are really picky sometimes, we still love working with you guys, and it just makes it a bit more challenging. So that's all good. And the last question I have is, and you might not have an answer to this, but if there were an agency, you know, a new agency or an agency around your guys' size that were contemplating making the shift to starting hiring offshore, is there anything that that you think that they should contemplate or know, or anything that you would want to say to them to help them make their decisions?
So, yeah, interesting.
I mean, we can share some of the things that we've done, which we think have worked well. We approach this to try and create a sort of singular organization, rather than one that feels like it's two separate things that are kind of working together. So we've really gone the extra mile to make it similar an experience working for Herdl in the UK as it is working for Herdl in SA. So we aligned the working hours. So our team in SA work 9 to 5 South African time. Public holidays, their public holidays. So we've done a lot trying to make it make the experience of working here really similar. So it's all the same kind of perks and benefits. And I feel like that's really helped to gel the team. It doesn't feel like everyone really has a sense of being
one team rather than two separate teams. And I think that's been beneficial to us. It's certainly in that kind of the culture that we're trying to create. And I think that, again, most agencies, most probably companies now, that there's some element of either hybrid or remote working. And I think if you kind of treat all of your remote team the same, because they're remote, again, it doesn't really matter if it's UK or anywhere else in the world. You can kind of get them into whatever rhythm you need to. There's obviously, look, there's little hiccups, there's challenges that kind of come along the way. I think, you know, that there is a case of getting used to things like the hours. So because we've done that, I think that there's been a lot of people within the team that were surprised. So I think that people in the guys in South Africa weren't expecting us to say work South African hours. That I think they were expecting us to say work UK hours, which they're all kind of were initially willing to do. We've had a couple of the guys that have come from working in the US, and some of those hours are like nuts. Like, you know, they'll be working like a night shift. So I think that they were looking at, you know, a 1 hour time difference is kind of like, you know, that's the worries kind of thing. So there's always like little challenges and things. But I would honestly say, the bit for me was I went into it initially very, very skeptical, and it was after the first interview that you kind of just realized, hey, there's actually nothing like scary about this. Just there's kind of no harm in just chatting to a few candidates and comparing them to what you might get in the UK, and just take that initial have the initial conversation and you know, sort of go from there, see what you maybe could be getting in one place versus what you're getting from you know, wherever you're recruiting from at the moment.
I mean, my sentiment is just treat everyone, regardless of where they're from, the same while interviewing them, and just choose the best person. If everyone just did that, I think it would be quite an easy choice to make. But guys, I've got no other questions. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.